New York State's property tax levy cap. What is it and how does it affect our public schools? Or, to put it another way, where is a 2% tax cap not a 2% cap on tax increases? In New York State, that's where. Why? Because despite being touted by some politicians and the media as a 2% tax cap, the law does not prevent your school tax bill from increasing by more than 2% each year. So what does it do? It requires each public school district to calculate a tax levy limit each year using a complicated 8-step formula dictated by the state. How complicated, you ask? Well, you start with the prior year total tax levy. Wait, what's the tax levy? It's the total amount of property taxes a school district collects from property owners to balance its budget, after accounting for state aid and any other revenue sources. Back to the formula. Start with the prior year tax levy, multiply that by the tax-based growth factor,
then add pilot payments received in the prior year and subtract any tax levy that pays for court judgments, but not if they are tax certiaries. Also subtract capital costs paid with local tax dollars, not state aid, then multiply all of that by 2%, or the change in the consumer price index, whatever is lower, and subtract pilot payments expected in the coming year. Add the available carryover, which is anything left over from last year's tax levy limit, as long as it's less than 1.5% of the limit.
And you have this year's tax levy limit. You get it? Yeah, me neither. But did you catch the 2%? Let's go back. One of the 8 steps involves adjusting some costs for inflation using the change in consumer price index, or 2%, whichever is less. And then you continue with the formula. That's where the 2% comes in. Now you have the whole story. Last spring, only 2 of the state's nearly 700 districts had a tax levy limit equal to 2%. 384 had a limit greater than 2%, and 283 had a limit less than 2%. One district's limit was a 105% increase, and another faced an 11% decrease. So the tax levy limit isn't 2%. It's whatever the state formula says it is, and it will be different for every school district. But whatever the limit is, taxes will be capped at that amount, right? Wrong, because the limit isn't a limit. It's just a threshold that determines what level of voter support a district needs to pass its budget proposal. If a district decides to propose a budget with a tax levy that is more than its tax levy limit, that district will need a supermajority, or at least 60% of voters, to approve its budget. If the proposed tax levy is at or below its limit, the budget passes with just a simple majority. By the way, there are certain costs called exclusions that the state says aren't subject to the tax levy limit, but districts still need to pay those. They're part of the levy, just not part of the limit. And don't forget, all of this applies to a district's total tax levy, not the tax rate, not your tax bill. Tax bills are also affected by other things that have nothing to do with the school district, like state equalization rates and local property assessments. Even if a district were increasing its levy by exactly 2%, what you'd see on your school tax bill could be entirely different. So, in review, it is not a 2% tax cap. In fact, it's not really a cap at all, it's a voter threshold. And the law was never designed to cap your tax bill, it applies to the levy only. What does this mean for your school budget? At the end of the day, the tax levy limit is just a number. School leaders still have to do what they've always done: weigh the cost of providing a quality school program with the community's ability to pay for it. To find out more, visit your school district website, attend public meetings, and learn more at educationspeaks.org.